Guess what? Today, we finally get to finish this huge, massive middle chunk of the list that I've been working on for I don't even know how long at this point. So let's just dive right on in and get to it. So number 40 is The Saint. Came out in 1997. This movie, very much in the same vein as the Tom Cruise version of Mission Impossible, is like an action-packed remake of a 1960s like spy type of a show. This one has Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue. They're both absolutely delightful. What I like about this one is that Val Kilmer gets to play so many different characters. You see a little bit of his like Jim Morrison character and a little bit of his Doc Holliday character, but just it's a lot of fun for me to watch. Moving on to number 39, which is The Royal Tenenbaums from 2001, another Wes Anderson movie. And actually, this is the first Wes Anderson movie that I was ever exposed to. So for that reason, it's just always going to have a special place in my heart. But just like any of the Wes Anderson movies on my list and actually just in his repertoire, the casting is fully stacked, incredible casting anyway. Touching stories, very dramatic cinematography, and the music is always on point. All of that is true of The Royal Tenenbaums, just like it is of any of the other movies on the list. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. All right, moving on to number 38, which is Fight Club, 1999. This is David Fincher bringing the brilliance that is Chuck Palahniuk onto the silver screen via Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Helena Bonham Carter, Jared Leto, and Meatloaf. So you can't go wrong. Actually, it could easily have gone wrong, which is why I'm so glad that David Fincher did such a great job, because it was done well and it just came out absolutely perfect. So highly recommend if you haven't seen that one. If you have any trouble with existential crises, maybe not for you, but other than that, it's a lot of fun to watch. All right, number 37. This is Love Actually from 2003. Yes, I know it's another fully stacked cast, lots of intertwining stories about some different forms that love can take. But seeing as how this is a Christmas movie and a rom-com, that actually works really well in this particular case. It is also British made, so it's a slightly different take than I think most American fare. So I do actually really enjoy it for that reason. And it is one that I have to watch basically every Christmas if it comes around, or every Red Nose Day if it comes around. Okay, now moving on to what's next? I don't even know where I am. Number 36 is Shaun of the Dead from 2004, which I unfortunately do not have. So Edgar Wright will appear again on the list. This is the first feature-length film that Edgar Wright was able to put out. It has an absolutely hilarious spin on the zombie apocalypse genre. Just like all of his movies, there's kind of like a mixture of genres. So this one is both zombie apocalypse and like rom-com, apparently, I guess. But anybody who is a fan of the TV show Spaced, which preceded Shaun of the Dead, that has a lot of the same actors, same writers. And there are actually a lot of fans from that show Spaced as zombies in Shaun of the Dead. So that's a lot of fun to watch. Anyway, let's move on to, actually that's it. Those last 5 movies were the end of that middle chunk of the list that I've been working on for so long. But because we do have some time, I'm actually going to move on to the next little chunk of the list. The next category, blessedly, is a short one as well. Well, is a short one, I should say. So this little category from the list, I will just say it sounds like exactly everything that I just had done in the previous very long chunk of the list, but it is a little bit different. So for this category, these are films that I love, and I've seen them so much that I don't really need to bother to watch them because they just kind of like live in my brain rent free. But anytime they're on, I always will. And I know that that sounds exactly like the category of the previous set of movies. What is different is that these 5 films are particularly very foundationally important for my, for the movie loving anybody really, but specifically for my movie loving kind of personality, this is like where a lot of it was built. So for that reason, these had to be not only above the previous category, but in its own category of itself, of it on its own. So anyway, all that to say that number 35 is Ghostbusters from 1984. And actually, now that I realize it, I didn't grab the one thing that I really needed to show you. So give me 1 second. This was Sebastian's Halloween costume, his second and third Halloween costumes. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And here is one of my husband's famous t-shirts with Slimer on it. So the first Ghostbusters, this one was, in case anybody wasn't aware, it was actually, the concept was written by Dan Aykroyd, but the writing credit on the movie goes to both Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis and Rick Moranis, all of who starred in the movie to great comedic effect, with also, of course, very notably Bill Murray, Annie Potts, Ernie Hudson. Everybody in it is amazing. I'll just stop there. We're huge fans. We love it. It's a good movie. I love it. All right, number 34 is Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. So this is Indiana Jones, and it is written by George Lucas, but directed by Steven Spielberg. So that kind of tells you right there that it's obviously going to be a banger. And it is. This one has, you know, Marion Ravenwood, the perfect girl for Indy, you know, as long as she's old enough to be. And then number 33, let's just move on from there, is The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. So here, I think we have two back-to-back 80s movies with a young Harrison Ford, written by George Lucas. It's interesting. I just realized that those are back-to-back. Actually, George Lucas has a lot of entries on my list now that I think about it that he wrote. Anyway, so The Empire Strikes Back was actually directed by Irvin Kershner. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars just all over the place, but this one is probably the episode that I reach for the most, that I have the most fun watching. But of course, as you can tell, my family's just kind of loony for Star Wars all over the place. We're just big fans. I do actually also have shirts that Sebastian wore throughout the years growing up, but I just didn't have time to get to everything. It's all in storage. But trust me, when May the 4th comes around, usually the whole family is able to dress up. Okay, so number 32 is A Clockwork Orange, 1972. This one we have in VHS and DVD, because I've been a big fan of this movie for a long time. This is, I am sorry to say, the only Kubrick on my list. Like I said, it's about my favorite movies, not necessarily the best movies of all time. This is a film adaptation of a novel by Anthony Burgess, which is actually has a very different ending in the novel versus the film. So no spoilers, but I mean, if you haven't read the book, do yourself a favor. It's pretty good. Definitely a good watch, though. They took a lot of kind of visual liberties with the way that it's made, and it's just it's a lot of fun. Very, very, very violent, a little bit graphic and disturbing. So if that's not your bag, I would probably stay away from the novel as well. Okay, moving on to number 31, which is Alien, 1979. So this is the original Alien that I'm putting specifically on the list, but I am a fan of all of them to varying degrees. I think the reason that Alien and not Aliens made it on the list is just because, even though I do think that Aliens is definitely the more like cinematic, action-packed version, Alien just has a special place in my heart because of the way that it sort of like creeps up on you and draws you in. And then once it's got you, it's got you. So I just do really appreciate that aspect of it. So obviously, shout out to H.R. Giger, which if it didn't look as amazing as it did, I don't know if it would be as iconic as it is. And then, of course, Ridley Scott did an amazing job. Sigourney Weaver is incredible. And thankfully, she gets a chance to really stretch her legs, and more sequels to come. All right. So I think I will go ahead and stop there. Those were the 5 films that comprise that next category that I was talking about, the foundationally important versions of. I just know them so well that I don't even have to watch them, but of course, anytime that I have a chance to, I will. We will pick it up at number 30 next time, and that is going to be, it's the last category. It's just the top 30 on my list. I do think I'm probably going to have to split that up into at least 2 videos, because if not, the video would be super crazy long. So that's coming up soon. But thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day, and just stay safe out there. Bye, everybody.